Hey everyone, welcome back. This is video 12. Today we're diving into the most critical part of data modeling, table relations, and cascade delete actions. So we have our rules from video 9, the parameters table. We have our number sequences from video 10. We have the parameters form from video 11. But we still don't have the actual tables to store warranty claims, right? Today we are fixing that. We're going to create two tables, a header table that stores the claim information like the customer, the date, and the status, and a lines table that stores the specific items being claimed. This is known as a one-to-many relationship. One header can have many lines, very common pattern in D365. You see it in sales orders, purchase orders, invoices, journals, all over the place. Now, here is the really important part. We are also going to configure something called Cascade Delete. This means if you delete a warranty claim header, the system automatically deletes all the associated lines, no orphan data left behind. Let me explain why this matters. Our fictitious client, Bluestone, currently uses an Excel file with two sheets, one for claims, one for items. Since the sheets aren't linked, if they delete a claim, the related items just stay behind as garbage data. With the relational database and Cascade Delete, that problem goes away. Delete the header and the lines disappear automatically. This keeps our data clean and consistent. Alright, here is the plan. First, we need a status enum to restrict the warranty claims to specific states like created, in review, or approved. Then we'll build the header and lines tables. Then we'll link the tables with a relation and enable Cascade Delete. So deleting a header automatically cleans up its lines. To ensure every claim has a unique ID like WAR001, we'll hook up the number sequence we built in video 10. Okay, let's get started. I have Visual Studio open with the BIC customer management project. So phase 1, before we can even build the table, we need a way to track the status of a claim. Is it created? Is it in review? Approved? So we'll start by creating a base enum for that. I'll go to the Solution Explorer, right click on the project and select Add New Item. The wizard pops up. So I'll expand the Dynamics 365 items node on the left. Under data types, I'll pick base enum and let's name this BICWarrantyStatus. Then I'll just click Add. Okay. Now I need to add the enum values. So I'll right click on the enum and select New Element. And I'll simply repeat that 3 more times. So we have 4 empty elements ready to go. Now I'll select the first element in the properties window. I'll first change the name to created. Then I'll go to the label property and also set that to created. I'll repeat this exact process for the second element. Select it, update name to InReview and update the label property to InReview. I'll do the same for the rest. The third one becomes approved and the fourth one becomes rejected. Now we have a clean list of status options. With our enum ready, we can move to phase 2, which is the header table. This table will hold the main information for every warranty claim, like the customer, the date, and the status we just defined. So back in Visual Studio, I'll right click on the project, select Add, and then New Item. In the wizard, I'll select the data model group on the left, and then choose Table. I'll name it BICWarrantyTable and click Add. Great, the table is created. Now we need to add 4 key fields. First, the warranty ID to track the claim. Second, the customer account to link it to a client. Third, the warranty date. And finally, the status enum we just created. So first, I'll go inside the Solution Explorer. In the search bar, I'll type WarrantyId. Under the EDT string node, we'll see BICWarrantyId pop up. So we'll just drag that to the fields node of our table. Next, I need to open the Application Explorer. So at the top, I'll click on View and then Application Explorer. Inside Application Explorer, I'll search for CustAccount. The fields will pop up under extended data types. So we'll just drag and drop it to our fields node. Great. Next, in the Application Explorer search bar, we will type TransDate. Again, it will pop up under extended data types. We'll drag and drop it into our fields node. Now for the fourth field, the status, back in the Solution Explorer, we will search for BICWarrantyStatus. It will pop up under base enums. We'll drag and drop that inside the fields node of the table. So I'll just simplify the names a bit. I'll select BICWarrantyId and in the properties pane, rename it to WarrantyId. I'll do the same for TransDate, renaming it to WarrantyDate, and BICWarrantyStatus, renaming it to WarrantyStatus. Just to keep things clean. Names are done now. The labels, I'll click on WarrantyId. Then under the properties, we will scroll to appearance section and set label to WarrantyId. In the same way, for the next field, I'll update the label to customer account. For the third one, warranty date. And finally, for the status field, I'll set it to warranty status. Alright, after that, I will just right click on the indexes and click on new index. In the properties pane, I'll name it WarrantyIdx. Then from the fields node, I'll drag and drop the warranty ID field into this new index. After that, I will click on the index in the property pane under the data section. I'll set allow duplicates to no. Also, just down below, I'll set alternate key to yes. Setting allow duplicates to no. Make sure every warranty ID is unique. Setting alternate key to yes is what allows us to use this readable warranty ID field to link the header and lines tables together. Without this setting, we would have to work with system generated internal IDs that are hard to read and debug. Great. Now it is time to update the properties at the table level. I'll select the table. So in the properties pane, I'll just scroll to the behavior section. I'll change primary index to WarrantyIdx. For clustered index, I'll also select WarrantyIdx. Finally, under table group, I'll select worksheet header. Once this is done, we can just click Ctrl+S to save. Just a quick explanation here. We set both the primary and clustered index to WarrantyIdx. This ensures unique lookups and physically sorts the data on disk. And for the table group, we chose worksheet header. Why? Because this is a transaction in progress like a sales order header. This helps the system apply the right caching strategy. Unlike static master data, now let's create the transaction table. I'll right click on the project, go to add and select new item. I'll stick with table under the data model. Then I will name it BICWarrantyTrans. Finally, we will click add. Great. Now the next step is to add the fields. So before we start adding fields, let's quickly check what we need. First, the warranty ID to link to the header, then a line number to order the rows. Next, the item ID for the product being claimed, and finally the quantity. Okay, let's start with the link to the header. In the Solution Explorer, I'll search for the EDT Warranty ID. It is right here under the strings node. I'll just drag and drop that right into the fields node. Now for the line number, in the Application Explorer search bar, I will type LineNum and click enter. It appears here under the extended data types. I can just drag and drop it to our fields node. Next is the item. Since we are already here in the search bar, I will type ItemId and hit enter. It will also appear in the list. So I will simply select it and drag and drop it to our fields node. Finally, we will add the quantity. In the search bar, I will type QTY followed by type :EDT and hit enter. Now this list is long, so instead of scrolling, I'll just select any element and type the name on my keyboard to jump to it. There it is. I'll drag and drop it to the fields node. Now here is a quick tip. The type: filter is really powerful. You can use type: EDT for data types, type: table for tables, or type: class. For code, it filters the search results instantly, making querying the AOT much faster. Now let's clean up the names. I'll select the first field, BICWarrantyId. And in the properties, I'll simply rename it to WarrantyId. Then I'll go through and update the label property for all these fields: quantity, item ID, line number, and warranty ID, so they display correctly to the user. Now let's handle the index. I will right click on the indexes node and select new index. With the new index selected, I'll go to the properties and change the name to TransIdx. Now for the fields, first I'll drag the warranty ID field into the index. And after that, I'll also drag and drop the LineNum field into this index. So just to be clear, why we added both warranty ID and LineNum together, this creates a composite key. The warranty ID groups all lines belonging to one claim, and the LineNum ensures each line within that claim has a unique position. So you cannot have two lines both claiming to be line 1 for the same warranty. Together, they form a unique identifier for each line. Next, I'll just click on the index to select it. Then I'll go to the properties pane. And here you can see allow duplicates is set to yes. I will change it to no. This ensures we can't have duplicate line numbers for the same warranty claim. Finally, I'll update the table properties. I'll click on the table itself, and in the properties pane, I'll scroll to the behavior section here. I will update the table group to WorksheetLine. Then for the clustered index, I will select the new index we just created, TransIdx. And to finish up, I'll hit Ctrl+S to save the changes. So let's understand the options we just selected. WorksheetLine tells the system this table contains the details for a parent header, and setting the clustered index to TransIdx ensures the lines are physically stored together on disk, which makes retrieving them much faster. Alright, now we will start with phase 4 here. We will create the relation. This physically links the lines table to the header table. The relation is always defined on the child table, the one that has the foreign key. So I'll open BICWarrantyTrans if it is not already open. Now it is time to link these two tables together. I will select the relations node, right click and select new relation. With the new relation selected, I will go to the properties pane and rename it to BICWarrantyTable. Next, I need to specify the parent table. So I will scroll down to related table and using the drop down, select BICWarrantyTable. This tells the system exactly which table we are connecting to. Now for the cardinality, this property asks how many transaction lines can one warranty header have. I will set this to ZeroMore, meaning a header can exist with 0 lines, or it can have many lines. Why did we choose ZeroMore? Because when we first create a header, it has no lines yet. That is the zero part. As we add items, it has more lines. If we chose ExactlyOne, the system would throw an error because you could not save a header without immediately adding a line. Then we have related table cardinality. This asks how many headers a single line can belong to. I will set this to exactly one. Why? Because a transaction line must belong to one specific warranty claim. It cannot exist without a parent. Moving down to relationship type, I will set this to association. This is the standard type for a simple header line link, where the line is just associated with the header. Now we define the matching fields. I'll right click on the relation, choose new and then normal. This creates a standard field mapping. With the mapping selected, I will go to the properties pane. We can give it a name, let's say WarrantyId. Then I will select WarrantyId for the field property, which is our transaction table field. And for the related field, I'll select WarrantyId from the parent table. This links the two tables using that specific field. Let me save this. Alright, the relation is complete now. We'll proceed with the next phase, which is the Cascade Delete action. But before we configure it, what exactly is a delete action? Simply put, it is a rule that tells the system what to do with child records when a parent record is deleted. But what do we mean by parent and child? In our case, the parent is the warranty header and the children are the warranty lines. So the question is, if a user deletes the header, what happens to the lines? In Dynamics 365, we mainly use two types of delete actions to handle this: restricted and cascade. Let's break down the difference. Restricted means you cannot delete the parent if children exist. The system blocks you. This is good for things like posted invoices where you need to preserve history. Cascade means if you delete the parent, the system automatically deletes all children. This is good for draft documents, journals, worksheets, things where you want cleanup to happen automatically. For our warranty claims, we want cascade. If someone deletes a draft claim, we don't want 50 line items sitting in the database as orphans. We want them gone. Okay. Now for the cascade delete, here is an important thing to remember. We actually configure this on the parent table, not the child. So I'll go ahead and open up the BICWarrantyTable again in the designer. Next, I'll find the delete actions node, right click and select new delete action. This tells the header what to do with its children when it gets deleted. For the name property, I will type BICWarrantyTrans. This is just for us to identify it, but the important property is table reference just below it. Here we must select our transaction table, BICWarrantyTrans. And here is the critical part. For the delete action property, I will change it to cascade. This means if I delete the header, the system will automatically wipe out all related transaction lines. Let me save this. Great, the delete action is configured. Now let's move on to phase 6, where we'll set up the logic to automate our warranty IDs. So the system handles the numbering for us. Remember the number sequence module we built in video 10. Now it is time to hook it up. Right now, the user has to manually type a warranty ID, which creates inconsistent data. We want the system to auto-populate this field with a standard format like WAR followed by 6 digits. So the user never has to worry about it. To make that happen, we need to write some code in the initValue method. I will right click on the methods node, select override, and then choose initValue. This creates the boilerplate code with the super call. So let me replace the method with the code that I have prepared and then we'll walk through it, okay? So first we start with the super call. This ensures the standard framework logic runs first to initialize the record. Once that foundation is ready, we add our custom automation on top of it. Then we call the find method on the BICWarranty parameters table. You might remember this from video 9. It is a singleton table, which basically means it is designed to hold just one unique record for all our global settings. So by calling find, we are simply grabbing that one record. So we can access our number sequence configuration, right? Next, we get the number sequence reference using the method from our number sequence module in video 10. This gives us the correct sequence code. Then we check two things. Do we have a valid reference and is the warranty ID currently empty? If both are true, we call the new getNum method on the number sec class to generate the next ID and assign it. Finally, we are setting the warranty date. We use the system date function with the user's preferred time zone, so it defaults to today. Alright, so the configuration is complete. Now let's verify everything works. I will right click on the project and hit build. This will take a few seconds. So we will just wait for that build completed message. And there it is, build completed. Now because we added a new table, we must synchronize. I'll right click and select synchronize with database. This can take a minute or two, so I'll fast forward. The database synchronization is now complete. We are ready to test. Okay, so let's close the output window. Then I will go to the BICWarrantyTable. Right click on the table node and select open table browser. This will open the table in a web browser. Then I will click new and look at that. The warranty ID is already populated with war followed by 6 digits. The status is also set to created. Since the customer account is empty, I will randomly select any customer, let's say US001. Notice the rec ID is currently 0, that means it is unsaved. I will click the save button. Now the rec ID has a value confirming the record is saved. I will close the browser. Now for the lines, we'll go back to the transaction table. Then I will right click on the BICWarrantyTrans table and select Open Table Browser. It is empty, so I will click New. I will select an item ID from the drop down and set the line number to 1. Now for the warranty ID, when I click the drop down, I see only one ID. The one we just created, this proves our relation is working perfectly. I will select it. I will quickly add 2 more lines, line 2 with a different item and line 3 with another item. Then I will hit save. All lines are now linked to our header. Now for the main test, which is Cascade Delete, I will close the transaction table. Then let's go back to the header table. Again, we'll right click and select Open Table Browser. The browser window will open. So we can see we still have the record that we created earlier. With the record selected, I will click delete. The system asks for confirmation and I will click yes. The header is gone, so I will close this tab. Now let's check the lines. Back in Visual Studio, I'll open the BICWarrantyTrans table browser and look at that. It's empty. The system automatically wiped out the lines. When we deleted the header, this proves our Cascade Delete action is working perfectly. Alright, to recap what we built today, we created a header table BICWarrantyTable with fields for the claim ID, customer, date and status. We created a lines table BICWarrantyTrans with a foreign key back to the header plus line number, item and quantity fields. We defined a one-to-many relation between them, one header, many lines. We also configured a Cascade Delete action. This is crucial because it ensures that when a header is deleted, the system automatically cleans up all related lines, preventing orphan data from cluttering our database. Finally, we integrated the number sequence logic. This ensures that every new warranty claim gets a unique formatted ID automatically, no manual typing, no errors, just clean, consistent data. However, we still have one problem. We have built all this great backend structure, tables, relations, automation, but our users can't see any of it. They need a proper interface. That is exactly what we are building in video 13. We are going to implement the details master form pattern. It is the standard professional UI for managing header and line data, and it is going to bring everything we did to life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.